Hello, hello. Welcome back to Where Are Your Cleats with Rob and Steve. I am one of your co-hosts, Steve Renazizi. Thank you very much for coming back and checking us out again. We hope you enjoyed our first episode, and this is episode number 2. We got another great guest for you. Rob is joining us from LA. I am in New York, so we are bi-coastal, but with the beauty of technology now, we're doing this as if we're sitting next to each other. How are you, buddy?
I'm really good. I'm glad to see you again.
It's nice to be seen.
You were here a few weeks ago, and I miss you already.
I know. We got to share a little baseball experience. We talked about going to the UCLA baseball game with the boys. Since then, last week, I actually went to spring training for the first time in my life. Have you been to spring training?
We've done Arizona. I think I've been 5 or 6 times now, and we're actually going to head out on Thursday and go out there for a couple days and check out a couple games, cross off some stadiums. Should be fun.
It is the best. Okay, not only for us specifically because it's been nice here. The weather has been unseasonably warm, but for the most part, it was pretty cold. And you're coming from 35, 40 degrees in the morning when you get on your Delta flight at LaGuardia, and you get off in 85.
Oh.
Straight to the Tampa airport, 85. The heat hits you. You got to take your sweatshirt off. You're peeling off layers. We landed at 10:30, got to the rental car place, straight to the Hooters, which, when in Tampa, it was amazing.
Yeah, it's a city law, city ordinance.
Everybody's hungry. We're a block and a half from the stadium, right? They have chicken. And it's 11 a.m. And I don't think anyone would mind us changing in the parking lot and or the bathroom, which is what we had to do after.
Right.
So it was great. It checked all the boxes. We went to Hooters, which was great. Jonah, my youngest, he didn't know what to look at. He saw obviously our waitress, which mesmerized him, and then a guy walked by with a gun on his side, because it's Florida. So between the guns and the boobs, he was all over the place. It was wild. But it was great. I had never been down to Tampa specifically. That's where we went for the first game. The Yankees played the Red Sox. And it was, the weather was beautiful. The stadium is great because it's exactly like we were talking about before. Those little small stadiums, easy to get in and out of. You park across the street at where the Bucks play, and then you go across a little bridge. And, the Yankees honestly didn't look great, but it was fun to watch spring training baseball. It was fun to watch them warm up. It was fun to watch the different pitchers, watching the veterans get ready and warm up, and Carlos Rodon pitched, so all the younger guys were watching how he prepared. It was great. And so 2 days into the next day we went to, shout out to my buddy Steve Simone, whose hospitality was amazing. We had dinner with him. The next morning, we went over to his house, and his mom made ridiculous. We had just gone to, because again, we're in Florida, so we went the next day for breakfast to not the Waffle House, it's got everything.
Cracker Barrel?
Biscuits and gravy, Cracker Barrel, thank you. Cracker Barrel. They had never been another mesmerized, they got it all.
Yeah.
Pancakes with the eggs, and who's on protein, and who wants this, and who can get peanut butter. It was amazing. So after that, we went to Steve's house. And then in Lakeland, Florida, the Yankees were playing the Detroit Tigers in Tiger Town, Publix Park, right? 5 minutes away from where he lived. So we went there for a 1:00 game. And that was honestly a little bit, if I'm putting the two together, a better experience because the stadium was a little bit more easy in and out to get. And also, they let you in at 11 o'clock. The Yankees didn't let you in 11:45 by the time you got in. The game started at 1. So they were hosing the field down. We saw the entire Yankees take BP, and it was awesome because you could stand outside. They have one of those little, grass ramp areas where the kids can all hang out, and that's where all the home run balls went.
Right.
Jonah got a home run ball, and then got it signed by not only as he walked by. I go, I know that guy. I'm talking to a police officer from Tampa, right? And I could tell this guy. There was a meet and greet over to the left. Under a tent, it was 87 degrees. Everyone's looking for shade, except for my two sons who were just give it to me. And they were doing a meet and greet under an umbrella. I see them walk by in the pants, but no jersey, but the pullover Detroit. And I'm like, oh, I know that face, but let me put it together. He walked by pretty quickly. And on the way back, Jonah was standing next to me. He had a ball. Alan Trammell.
Oh, wow.
So Alan, yeah, amazing. So Alan Trammell stopped and signed the ball for Jonah. Hall of Fame. Alan Trammell it was awesome. So that kind of stuff, like you got to see Gleyber Torres and like up close. And so Tiger Town was really, really cool. And the only thing, the parents, again, let's get back, like they're hitting home runs into the outfield, into the grassy area, right? And, it's a fly ball, so everyone's getting together. And, also the dad just comes in, the tallest person, and then catches it. Now, of course, he gives it to a kid, probably one of his own, but like, just let the kids catch it.
Right.
And I think they do it for safety reasons, but not. I see it. Like they're the most unsafe people because 2 or 3 dads are colliding together. So that was the only thing I'm like, they should just let the kids catch the foul balls.
Well, I learned my lesson the hard way on that one. The last time we were in Arizona, it was a blowout spring training game. Somebody hits a home run into the Mariners bullpen. Of course, Jack's been trying to get a ball the whole time. And the bullpen catcher has the ball up. He's going to toss it into the stands. And so I go to grab it. Of course, I'm the only dad who stands up for the ball. We're sitting on the lawn out in left field. I go up. I bear paw it. I get it. And the crowd is kind of moving away. But somehow some like 4-year-old kid went underneath me and like cut my legs out from underneath me. I topple on it. I can feel he's under me, so I put my hands down to brace myself, and the kid, I kind of cover him up because there's other kids around there, like scrumming for the ball. The kid is screaming at the top of. I mean, at this point, it looks like an assault. It looks like a public assault, and the mom is like, "What are you doing?" And I don't know if she's yelling at me or the kid. So finally, I get the kid up. I hand him to the mom, and I just hand him the ball, and I'm like, "We got to get the hell out of here." And so, never again, kids. If you want a ball,
it's dangerous.
You're on your own. You're on your own in left field.
Beer is 21 and older. Foul balls or home run balls are 17 and younger. Let's do it like that.
Not even 17. I say if you've started 10th grade, you're out.
10th grade and below.
Yeah. If you're lifting weights, you're done.
If you want to take creatine, you're done with foul balls.
That's right. You should be trying to walk around and get girls' numbers.
I'm talking about in minor league and spring training situation. In major leagues, it's every man for themselves.
All bets are off.
If I'm a grown man and I pay $242 to StubHub to sit in the ticket, I'm going to get a foul ball, and I don't care if I have to step over, several people to get it.
Right.
I've seen situations like that where the foul ball ricochets off a kid's glove, and then someone else catches it. And everyone booed the girl for keeping it, but we were like, no, she deserves it. That kid, he had his opportunity, and he blew it.
Make a play.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Make a play.
And actually, we went to the College Classic. This is maybe 2 Saturdays ago at Dodger Stadium. It was I kind of found out about it morning of. We were talking about going out to Loyola Marymount to watch a game. Turns out Michigan was there in the morning playing, and then the afternoon was UCLA and UCI. It was Michigan University of San Diego in the morning. Well, it's 2 for the price of 1. It's like $27 a ticket. There's a little break in between, but Jack and I kind of made our way down the left field line. A ball got hit into the upper deck, or not the second deck at Dodger Stadium, and the Loge just kind of rolled along the railing and then dropped right next to Jack, rolled under his seat, down a row. I grabbed it. One kid was kind of running up to get it, but he was coming from way too far. I mean, I just literally had to reach over the seat. So, that one I was like, Jack's sitting right there. He wants it, so I gave it to him.
We got one going out to the car. It was one on the ground, like it's up there in another field.
Yeah.
So we just took that. And an old man, he was collecting garbage in the parking lot. And he goes, $16 a ball they are, made in Mexico and China. He just came out of nowhere like some sort of mythical creature.
He's the ghost of baseball pass.
Yeah. I'm like, who are you, brother? So yeah, you told me, you texted me a funny thing that, we're already into it, and no need to jump on umpires this quickly, but you saw something pretty brazen this weekend that had me going. Tell them about what you saw.
So yeah, opening, I can't remember if it was opening game, but we're about 5 games into Little League now for us out here.
Okay.
I think it was probably the second game, or third game, we had this umpire. I noticed he's calling the game with one earbud in, one AirPod, just like you're wearing right now. And
I got two in actually.
Right. But that same style, right?
Same
they're
style.
They're not wired up. They're AirPods, and I thought, geez, what is he? Is he on a call? Is he listening to a podcast? Maybe he's listening to our podcast. Who knows? But I thought it was a weird thing, and he's behind the plate. And so a couple days later, we went to watch a friend's game at a different field. That same umpire is behind the plate. One AirPod in, sunglasses on, and it is 8:15 at night. Sunglasses.
Whoa.
But not to be outdone, the guy working the bases, double AirPods, and would have preferred to have been anywhere else. I mean, there is a steal of second. The ball has barely left the catcher's hand, and he is standing behind second base, fist already up in the air, making the out call. Like he was just like, if you think I'm calling anybody safe, you're crazy. It's 47 degrees, and we are getting out of here as soon as possible.
Really? Yeah. Double ear pods, and you can't say anything.
Right. I mean, well, what if you're the coach?
I gotta be honest. I say so. I give the glare on a double ear pod at like a fast food place. Like if you're like, can I take your order? And you got double ear pods in?
Yeah.
I'm giving you the like. What do you got going? What's so like double?
Right.
Give me one. Give me one ear pod. If you want to double ear pod on like a job where you're like, like I'm a manual labor job. Like I go out, I do like mow lawns with like I'm double ear podding.
Yeah.
I don't really need to be, like, no one needs, but like with customer service.
Right.
And I'm not saying umpires customer service, but like
he's going to interact with people.
There is an interaction.
There's going to be back and forth. Yeah.
I get blacking or trying to dull out all the other nonsense you don't listen to, but you got to just do that without the ear pod.
And then
I was like,
at one point this weekend, I think this guy either had one or two in, different guy. And at one point I'm kind of walking along the side of the field. This is the game before us is being played. And he goes like this, and he's holding up his phone and he's FaceTiming. He's giving them the angle down the first baseline of the pitch coming in. Mid game. I mean, the game's 11-0 at this point. It's a 12-year-old baseball game. Score's irrelevant. But it's just that thing of you're like, come on, man, just act like you care.
Dude, the FaceTime thing is taking on a life of its own in the sense of like, I used to do it with Tracy, and I get how annoying it is. Like, you want to see your kids at bat. So if I'm in Chicago and she's sitting right there.
Right.
But then, like, once the at bat, and I'm telling you not the one child at bat.
Right.
And the phone call has to end. Like, I don't want to hang out with you or with your phone. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's like, I don't want to be watching the game and you and your grandpa Louis from the Dominican Republic are talking. It's wonderful we can do this, but like, it's not a public conversation.
Right.
Like, you got to move away.
Right.
Like, that has become a thing now. And now, forget it. Umpires. It's like, but there has to be. They are within like. I would be kind of if a coach had it. If a coach had an ear pod in, I would be a little bit like,
right.
What's going on? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe not like a little league coach. People got to take phone calls or whatever.
Right.
But like. A travel ball or someone getting paid in an umpire.
Yeah.
What you cannot have.
I think the next time I see him, especially because we're gonna get the home plate umpire again with the one AirPod. I'm just gonna be like, I just gotta know. Like my brain is itching. This is a curiosity that I have to scratch. What are you listening to? Are you talking to someone?
You gotta go in it with humor.
Yeah.
No, you gotta go like you just gotta guess like the new Lionel Richie or something like something like. Make a joke of it.
Who's on Joe Rogan this week? Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Right. And
where are your cleats? You a fan?
Where are your cleats? Yep. Come on.
So yeah, I mean, I need an explanation. I can't live my life knowing that I'm only getting obviously half of your attention.
Right. At most.
But
yeah.
At most.
I'm gonna.
We have a. Yeah, you want to talk to our we got a great guest this week, and I'll let you. I mean, Rob knows this gentleman better than I do, but I'll let you set him up.
Yeah, I mean,
we have a lot of questions for him.
We're really, really lucky this week because our guest is a former big leaguer. I mean, that's as elite as it gets, and as as we've talked about, we're the guys who want information about what it takes to get these guys where they want to go, and we're curious about people's journey. So our guest today is former third baseman, first baseman. He was a first-round draft pick out of the University of UConn, 49th overall in June of 2010, which is crazy because that's when my daughter was born. So now I feel really old because she's about to start high school. Mike Olt joining us today on the show. What's up, Mike?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
How you doing, man? Thank you for doing this. Real quick, right off the top, have you ever encountered an umpire at any level of baseball that you either played or were around with an earpod and or listening device in their ear, active like one of these?
No.
Yeah, Rob had an experience with one this weekend.
By the way,
that's the next level, dude.
I've now seen three different umpires with AirPods in.
Umpiring the game with an earpods in.
Not getting balls or strikes, just listening to music?
No. This is Little League. He's just calling the game with an AirPod in. Base umpire with two AirPods.
And then he
I get it.
No,
I wouldn't want to listen to me gnaw on your ear either, but like at the same time, I'm like, it's a dangerous situation. Kids holding bats, baseball's flying around. I'd love to have your full attention.
Yeah, I know the game's changing, but I didn't realize it was overflowing into the umpires as well. Everyone's getting their swag on now. It's a free-for-all.
Maybe we got automated balls and strikes, and I didn't even know about it yet.
Let the umpires have fun,
That's right. I guess everybody else is trying to. They might as well.
Why not? Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. I know you're probably very busy, but you said UConn, right? You're an East Coast guy, correct?
East Coast, yep.
Where are you from?
I'm from Connecticut, Branford.
I'm on Long Island, so not that far away. I could probably see you, yeah. UConn first round.
Yeah, I got lucky.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, they're starting to recognize. I mean, you were, this is a couple of years ago, 14 years ago, but they recognize now the Northeast guys can play. There was a kid from Patch of Medford, Long Island this year that got drafted in the first round, a pitcher. But still, you get out there between all the different events and everything, people will be seen wherever they are pretty much at this point. But it's nice to see an East Coast guy get played.
Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with a scout about it. Wow, they're just doing yard work right now, random. Can you guys hear that or no?
Not really.
Our producer Mark says he's not getting it.
All right, good. Yeah, I had an interesting conversation with a scout. I think it's big on they think we're not fully developed. Like we really, I played 20 games in high school. I don't get out all the time. I'm playing other sports. So it kind of plays into that. And I think the scouts it's resulting in the big leagues, which is good.
Did you play any other sports growing up?
Yeah, I played basketball. Honestly, I was going to play tennis in high school if it wasn't for my coach just forcing me to play baseball. So I enjoyed tennis probably the most.
Oh, really?
Hand-eye coordination was your thing.
Yeah, thank God I didn't do it, but yeah, I liked it.
Did you, at that point, were they winter workouts year round, that kind of stuff? Or when you put down the bat in the fall, did you pick up a basketball and you're like, all right, let's Hoosier it up till the weather gets warm?
I think up until my senior year, I did basketball full. And then my senior year, I did basketball, but I would still go to like baseball. Like we had live interspot games and stuff like that at the gym. But I would get my lifting in during practices sometimes. So the coach was pretty lenient on me because I really wanted to focus on baseball. He's like, you can't. Like we need you for basketball. So I wasn't gonna like leave my guys dry. So we figured out like a happy medium. I was able to lift, get all my stuff in, and then I'd come practice, get all that in.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I'm in New York now. My sons play different sports, but my one son that plays baseball, it's now turned into a year-round thing here where there's within a rock's throw, there's 15 different indoor facilities that I live near that all have winter workouts. So some guys just do that all winter long now. And, I think it's still important to go out and play another sport to kind of just develop another skill set, whether it be, you're working out. If you're playing basketball and you're a shortstop, it's great footwork and it's great. You're going to run more in basketball than you probably ever will playing shortstop. So I just think that a lot of the skill set translates over. So, and I didn't know if you kind of felt like when that transition to, oh, no, you are just a baseball player now, or you do this. So like those singularity kind of viewpoints now as to what one person plays.
I probably would say once I committed to UConn was when that kind of shifted. I felt a need to, I really wanted to do change the face of how UConn baseball was. And I knew I had a lot of work to do. So I think it kind of fired me up when I did sign there. Unlike a lot of kids that I see now, there's so much hype around them, young age. They have people retweeting them on Twitter and they get big heads. And, next thing you know, they're losing their scholarship by their junior year. I think it didn't play. I didn't have that, which was good. I didn't even know I was good until probably I got to the big leagues maybe, but which also plays. But yeah, I think once I committed, I wanted to shift my mindset into giving it everything I had for baseball.
The commitment to UConn. Go ahead, Rob.
Was there ever a point in time you thought you might go somewhere else? I mean, it used to be, I went to the University of Nebraska and I did not play sports there, but it was if you were a guy from Nebraska, you wanted to play Nebraska football or you wanted to play Nebraska baseball. And some guys left, there's always the outlier, but being from Connecticut, was it ever like, oh, maybe I'll go to LSU, maybe I'll go to Boston College, or was it always Connecticut for you?
I think, early on, freshman, sophomore year, I wanted to go down south because I thought that's the only way you can get to the scene. My brother ended up going to UConn. I played with him my freshman year. He was a senior, so that was a big part of me going there. The coaching staff there, I went to one summer camp my junior year and immediately knew that was the spot I was going to be. I witnessed, one of our assistant coaches take a ball to the forehead in BP and continued throwing. I'm like, that guy is going to get me to the big leagues. That's the guy. I'm going to
Yeah.
Dude, that's tough.
Yeah. And it's like, I also wanted to be a part of something that I can try and change the environment. I think we had a lot of guys going there at UConn that I knew, and it was all the same kind of mindsets. Like, maybe we're not on the map yet, but if we come in and we stick to the plan and trust the coaches, I think we got a good chance here to build something. And that's kind of what we did.
Yeah, and then George Springer came out of UConn. I mean, there's definitely a tradition there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun team. George, Nick Ahmed, Scott Oberg.
Yeah.
And you can go down the list. We had I think from that class in my 2010, we may have had 9 guys in the big leagues at once.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
from an East Coast school.
I was just gonna say, take that, SEC and Pac-12, and
well, I mean, yeah. There's 5 guys from Vanderbilt on the Yankees right now.
Yeah,
so but it makes me happy to know, especially living here and with a son that plays. There are avenues and places like I live in Long Island now. Stony Brook baseball, St. John's baseball beat LSU. Stony Brook beat Florida. So there are these they're. It's almost like I know the way that lacrosse used to be, that everyone would go down to John. For some reason, Long Island's a great lacrosse area, so everyone would go down to Johns Hopkins and go down south. And then all of a sudden, they were like, "Oh, Syracuse is why don't we just keep the New York guys here?" And then they built up a program, and so you can kind of build something once you get a commitment from the area to go. Oh, all right, you don't have to go to Vanderbilt, you don't have to go to TCU to get a name for yourself. You can go to UConn, you can go to Stony Brook, you can go to St. John's. So there are other avenues, which is great.
Definitely. Yep. It's good for the kids around here.
What year did you commit? Was it when did people commit back then?
So
junior year.
Yeah. I think we could only commit our junior year. Now you can commit when you're 7.
Well, luckily they just changed it again because now they can't talk to you until August of your junior year, which I think is great because especially with baseball, when you've got 8th graders committing to LSU, literally up until last year, there was 8th graders committing to LSU, which, I mean, you've barely gone through puberty. It just seems crazy. And I think it's better for the school. It's probably way better for the coaches to not have to focus, communicating with the next 5 years of classes that could potentially be coming through. It makes their jobs a little bit easier, and you can focus on your team a little bit more because let's face it, at the college level, wins matter. And if you're not winning, you got to look for a new job at a lot of places. So for them to be able to focus more on the guys who are actually there, and then I know there's the portal, which is a whole another thing that everyone's still learning about, but it's got to be nice to just be like, wow, this is my group and I can focus on them. And then my, recruiting coordinator and my assistant coaches can, do a lot of the stuff with the juniors and seniors.
Yeah, it's for the coaches, I can't imagine the headache. For the players too, like the pressure that they're having when they're 15, 16, 17 years old. I know we had a kid that committed to Louisville, and he, we're getting a text from him saying, hey, the Louisville coach is coming to watch me again. Like, so basically kind of checking in. Like, you're like, well, now I'm going into a start when I'm only 16 years old. Now I'm thinking the whole world's on me. I got to get the game, right? It's nothing crazy. But that's the pressure that they're putting on kids at that age. So I'm happy that they changed it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It seems beneficial. And then plus, go ahead, Steve.
What kid is going to make it through from 8th grade to the time they leave for college not messing up once, especially now? Oh. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to blow something that it doesn't make any sense. It's like, let's get a sense of who the person is, whether after they develop a little bit before we go, all right. I understand that, everybody wants to find the next Ken Griffey Jr. and be like, he's got to go to my school because I showed interest first. But it's a little ridiculous to put that amount of pressure on, like you said, Rob, the coaches. The coach might not be there in 5 or 6 years, Right. And who knows what the player wants to do. So I think burnout factor is going to be a big, I mean, it was a little bit when I was growing up. I know a friend that went to play for a big time Big Ten school, Division I. And by the second year, he was like, I just don't want to travel. I'm done with baseball. I'm kind of just over it. I'd rather just, it's not going to be what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So I'd like to shift focus somewhere else. And I feel like with everyone kind of, going, oh, it's only baseball. We're only going to do this. You're going to get kids that are going to burn out super, super early rather than just kind of let them fall in love with other sports. Yeah.
Yeah. And just the pressure of it on top of it and just making kids say, oh no, I'm a baseball player. I mean, like, my son's only 11, but I'm like, I even at one point I was like, well, maybe we should do more baseball and less of this other stuff. And then I was like, he's not going to play flag football with his friends. He's not going to play Parks and Rec basketball because we want an extra baseball practice that week. Like, that seems crazy.
If it's a choice between sitting in front of a TV with a remote in your hand or going downstairs and doing a bucket of balls into a net, go do the bucket of balls.
Sure.
Right. But if I got to do a bucket of balls, or we're going to go, we're going to do the basketball tournament this week, let's go do the basketball. Everything, there's an opportunity for it all, when you got to, because you were saying before, you're like, I didn't even know you were good till you got to, almost the major leagues. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you were told at 10 or at 12, hey, you have a path that's destined to be at UCLA or some school, it might have changed your work ethic or who you were as a person. When you got out of college and into the minor leagues, what was that transition like as far as, everything? Was it for you personally and also like on the field?
I'll never forget, like, I had the first live BP. And your first spring training, I'm on the minor league side, and I called my mom. I'm like, you'll never believe it. I'm facing C.J. Wilson. Like, here I am, a first rounder. Should have been the guy that's like, okay, I'm gonna be facing that in two years max. Like,
right.
That's fine. But I'm still, Mom, I can't believe it. Like, I'm going to face him. Like, and it played a role in my work ethic for sure. Granted, at that time they started coming out with, rankings and all that. So like, I did know I could see stuff, but I still never believed it. I always felt like there was this one level. I never wanted the game of baseball to stop, so I wasn't going to let anyone's opinion or what they thought of me be the reason why I didn't work hard or I let it get to my head. Like, I just wanted to continue to work hard, and I just continued to put in work, and then it kind of played out. When I got to Double-A, I started to understand, okay, they're not trading me. They're putting a lot of things in my plate that make me player positions. There's a path for you here. So when you start hearing that, then you get excited. Yeah, but then when you get to the big leagues and you're struggling, you have to know you belong. Like, hey, I'm struggling. Who are we facing? Okay, we got Scherzer, Verlander, and Fister. Like, I mean, you gotta really. And granted, like in Double-A, I think in the minor leagues you probably face better stuff than the big leagues. That's weird to say, but the big leagues knows exactly how to get you out, and they know how to execute at like an extremely high rate. So the minor leagues,
Yeah,
the information of what gets Mike out, but can they execute on that pitch? Probably not. Not as much. They have better stuff. They throw harder, more movement, but when you hear a big league pitcher talk, it's pretty insane. Like, hey, I'm gonna throw it 2 inches off the plate until the umpire budges, and then when I see him budge, I'm gonna go 3 inches inside. Like, and then you start watching when you're playing defense. You're like, that's exactly what he's did. Like, that's crazy.
yeah.
Execute.
I mean,
That's next level.
So knowing now how the game's kind of shifting to when you were playing, it was guys who could carve both sides and put it where they want it, and now everybody wants the guy who throws 98 or 99 and maybe doesn't know where it's going or maybe doesn't have a great secondary pitch. Does the game look different to you than it looked 10 years ago?
Yes. Yeah, 1,000,000%. Especially now I'm a fantasy manager, so I'm like watching all the prospects. Everyone's throwing 103.
Yeah.
Every breaking ball is starting at your head, dropping down. So it's interesting to watch. But then again, you get to the big leagues is all the mental side of it. Like those pitchers that are throwing 103, how are they going to do the first time they struggle? Like how are they going to now when everything's, all eyes are focused on them, and the only objective is to win. How are they going to really rebuttal from that? And that's where it becomes the interesting mind, like watching how their minds are going.
So keeping that in mind, that how much of the game is mental now that you're working with youth players and you have that perspective. I mean, a guy like me who played JV baseball and then coached JV baseball, and when I'm working with 12-year-olds, I'm probably getting too technical and stuff. When you see a kid that's 11 or 12 years old and he's struggling and you have that perspective, what are you saying to a kid to try and give him some confidence or give him perspective on the game?
I don't dumb it down for them. I do the same. I give them a lot of information of, all right, well, what's the pitcher trying to do in the situation? Run around second base. You're the biggest dude here. You're the best hitter. Base open late in the game. Like, that's high level information, and I don't expect them to pick up on it, but I want them to engage and try and hopefully by like the 10th time I say it,
right,
they're starting to understand what the game is doing. Because if we can start teaching them like what the game is actually predicting is going to happen at a young age, by the time they get to high school, college, they're really starting to develop a next level to their game.
Yeah, and we were talking yesterday.
Now, does it work all the time? No.
But when we were talking yesterday, you mentioned something about a coach asking you a question your first day, probably in fall practice at UConn, about what to do in a situation.
Yeah. No, it's true. I got to UConn and in front of the whole team, Coach Penner's asked me like, "Hey, Mike, we're doing situational stuff. We got to run at second base, no outs. What are you trying to do?" I'm trying to hit a ball in the gap. So he thought I was like the comedian now. That's my first conversation on the field with him. He's like, "No, Mike, what are we trying?" I said, "Coach, to be honest, I am literally trying to hit a gap. Am I missing something?" And I just didn't know what situations were happening in baseball. Like, and it's nothing to do with my high school coach. He played AA, super educated in baseball, helped with my swing, everything. But what me and Rob were talking about was when you're on a high school team, there's only 2 coaches. I mean, he has to focus on how to get this whole team better as a team to make sure that we can compete, and then give me like information on Mike, this is what this pitcher's trying to do here, like little stuff, but not situational stuff.
Right. And when you're in high school, he's probably thinking, I am trying to have Mike hit a ball in the gap.
Yeah, I'm not.
Well, for you were probably one of the best players on the team, so they weren't going to either have you bugged or try to hit balls
never
move the runners over.
Right.
But now you got a job to do because you're probably not one of the better hitters on the team as of right now. So I guess.
And especially the picks at second base, I was playing short and they're like, we're going to give signs to the pitcher. Like, this is no looks, 1 look, 2 look. I'm like, you want every pitch? You want me to do like the signals? I just remember one day I did like one, and they all started dying laughing. And I said, honestly, guys, I'm so uncomfortable doing it. I didn't even know I did it. Yeah. I'm like, if I show them, just throw it to me.
Yeah.
Like that's how I played.
Yep.
But it's
was there anyone that you looked to? Like, was it like, because I was wondering, like, I was watching, but telling Rob, I was in spring training last week watching like the young guys on the Yankees, and Soto's there, and like I didn't know. Can you just walk, like if you're invited to camp, can you just walk up to Soto and ask him like what someone on the team, like a big star on the team, or is it like a pecking order where you don't go over to those guys unless they come over to you first or anything like that?
Well, I think that's a great question because it depends on the team.
Yeah.
I was extremely lucky with the Rangers, being a young prospect. I had Josh Hamilton, Mike Napoli, Kinsler, Young, all those guys. Their only focus was to win. So, like, how can I make Mike as comfortable as possible was the reason I felt so secure to ask those guys questions. Now, when I went with the Cubs, we were terrible. I mean, it wasn't pretty. And it was immediately like rookies on the buck, like just the normal stuff. Not like that you feel uncomfortable. It's like, hey, I really, not everyone, by the way, but just you can remember that was a focal point. Like, make sure the rookies don't feel as comfortable because they got a lot of work to do to earn their stripes. So, like, when I came in my first day, when I made big league camp with the Rangers, Josh Hamilton was my locker mate. And I remember he marked a square around his locker and said, "Don't let any of your shit come on my side." And then straight face, got up, left, went to breakfast. So I'm like sat there and I was, oh my God, I'm already shitting myself. And I got there, and then what he wanted to do was come right back and say, "Mike, I'm only kidding."
Yeah.
Like, he's a nice
Yeah.
like, right? But he ended up doing an interview. Then he went to breakfast. It's like 10:45, and he comes flying up, and he's like, "I am totally just kidding with you." I was like, "Dude, I haven't been able to breathe 2.5 hours thinking about my jockstrap potentially landing in that." And then from that moment on, like, I asked him several questions. Like, we would sit in the locker, and I mean, I can't think of the questions now, but he answered everything in depth, as much information he can get me, because those guys know the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have to be. I mean, obviously, everyone has a first, and you come up in a different way. Maybe you're the superstar, and you come up, and it's your time to just make the big team. But most people, I would assume, at spring training are nervous. They're nervous to try to do the best that they can do. Show what they're capable of doing for the and try to make a team. So, however you can get to that level of comfortness, I didn't know if there's like I guess it does vary from team to team. That makes sense. But yeah, I just know in the world of comedy, it's like I remember working the back door and Dice walked past me like 150,000 times before he came over to me and said like, "Oh, you work here?" Like I never said a word to him. So he said a word to me, and I never would. And that's just kind of the way it was. So like, I didn't know if it was the sort of the same thing. Like, if you're a rookie and, you're trying to make a team or whatever, you're trying to get better. Can you go over to Juan Soto and be like, "Hey man, big fan. Can I ask you a couple quick, can I pick your brain or whatever?" I'm sure it varies from guy to guy, but
I'd say I'm 100, like not 100%, but probably 95% of the time. Yeah, you can. All those guys, they're really understanding of everyone's situation. And the guys that are veterans, their job as being a veteran is, helping everyone understand what their role is and being comfortable. It's territory.
It's better for the whole team.
Yeah.
Who wants someone that's like, oh God, I mean, personalities on a team, I'm sure are very, obviously you would know better, but I would just assume that everyone playing well and feeling comfortable is probably a good situation to be in.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You have your stories for sure, but it's for the most part, you're going to get everything you need.
Yeah.
Well, knowing that now and your knowledge base and how cerebral you think as a hitter, we can segue into what you're doing now, which is this new app you're working with, which is for hitter development. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it is, what it's called, and what you're trying to do for youth hitters now through this company?
Yeah, I joined up with Pelotero. It's a player development company with co-founders Bobby Tewksbury and Chris Colabello. There's several avenues we can help. There's avenues on the facility side. Bobby and Chris worked at a facility. How do I bring in revenue? How do I scale? How do I get the proper coaches to come in and really support a whole staff? There's the player development side where we create structures for kids based on their individual deficiencies. So I think for any player, especially myself, I think about this a lot. Northeast guy, I had coaching around me, but I never really understood my swing and what I need to work on. So I was a guy that would train myself, okay, I have to be in the cage for 3 hours. I have to lift 5 times a week, sometimes double sessions, just tricking my brain into thinking I'm getting ready for 162 games. There was not one first live BP I got to spring training where I was like, wow, I figured it all out. It's immediately start over. Like I just worked on stuff that I didn't need. And for young kids, eventually you get to a spot with your swing where you really can't change it. Your swing becomes your swing. So I struggled with, connection with my upper body to lower half, and I never used my lower half. I just was stronger, and I got away with a lot of bad habits, but eventually that catches up to you. If I could have perfected it early on, I mean, who knows what could happen. So for us, it's basically just creating a blueprint for them to succeed and work on their deficiencies.
And then talk a little bit about like how it works. I mean, I got to walk through it with you a little bit yesterday, and you can add on technology to it, but really it's about like taking the video into small clips, and your technology helps identify flaws in the swing, no matter what it is, swing path angle, things like that. Can you talk a little bit about what it does?
Yeah, I think what we do is we take all the tech data that's out there and we can attach it to a player's profile. And as a coach, I'm not scared to say, I think there's a lot of good in tech, but it's understanding what these numbers mean and correlating it into meaningful conversations with young kids that I struggle with, and I'm sure a lot of coaches struggle with, right? There's so much baseball technology that's out there that can help, but we don't know how to use it to the best ability. So our platform basically has programmed into all those technologies and understood what these numbers mean, and can now make it into meaningful programs for the guys.
I mean, I think that's huge. Steve and I have talked about it just in coaching kids. Like, if there's a glaring issue as a little league coach, you can see if a kid's making a big upswing or if he's just late all the time. But the truth is, the coaches most of the time are trying to throw strikes at batting practice, and it doesn't really allow you a window to sit on the side and watch a kid swing. I have the most success with kids when I can just sit at a tee and feed them baseballs and go, oh man, I didn't realize that your front foot is 6 inches, towards home plate in front of your back foot. And so you have no ability to clear your back hip, and your barrel's constantly late because you're blocking yourself on the front side. Right. But when I'm throwing in front of you and I'm trying to throw you a strike, I can't see all that. So when you were walking me through the app, and I could see how the camera was set up, and you could track the body movement, and it's showing you the swing plane and showing you, whether they're late, whether they're whatever it is. As a coach, I was like, oh man, this is a huge advantage if you can have a parent or put an iPad there on the side and record each individual swing, upload it later, and then you can see all the flaws in everybody's swings, and you can individualize a program to give them something to work on.
Absolutely. I think on the Little League side, like the youth side, what I'm excited about hearing from parents and coaches that we're working with is it's allowing the parents to work with their kids again, right?
Yeah.
It's basically, you want to work with them. Do they listen all the time? No. But we have a structure for them. It's laid out to the point where we have objectives of why it's important to work on this, so the kids understand, and the parents don't feel threatened about not knowing everything. We've made it to where you have an 8-year-old parent who doesn't know anything about baseball can still go to a cage with his kid and still practice all the stuff that's based on getting their kid better.
That's me. I mean, I stink at baseball. I never was good. I couldn't hit anything. And that's why I told jokes for a living. But what I do now, and the reason I can kind of help some people out, is because I listen to thousands of hours of my sons going to different guys. And like, I'm a parent now, and I understand like what they're talking about, because the more I've gotten into golf, it's similar. I understand the principles of what is happening, and like, getting your feet and body and the whole thing. But if I could sit there as a normal dad and go, oh, okay, buddy, I don't know what we're trying to, like, I don't know anything more than you, but here's the program. Like, it's almost like, here's the instructions on how to build this. Let's build it together. Let's help each other out. Like, building a very complicated Lego. I don't know how to do it, but let's do it together. It's great to be able to have that opportunity, so you don't feel like an idiot or you're teaching them something that's wrong, and they're probably going to get better and see results. So it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. And then we have basically tracking the data over time. They're going to be able to see the progress that they're making. So for a parent as well, you're paying a lot of money for AE programs. You want to make sure you're giving your son or daughter the best chance to get better. If I'm paying all that money, I want to make sure they're making progress. And for the player, there's the sense of motivation. Wow, I am making improvements, because that's been the hardest thing for a lot of kids, is to understand, are they getting better? With just exit velo being the only thing is, well, I'm hitting the ball harder. Okay, but is your body moving efficiently enough to go as hard as it can go? We don't know. So being able to see all that data, combine it, and then really understand what it's doing and how we're projecting to move and get better, that's big for everyone.
Well, I think kids especially are so results oriented. I mean, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, Mike. I hate game changer. I hate somebody telling me that their kid's hitting, 687 when I was at one of the games when they hit a 27 hopper between the first baseman who never moved and the second baseman who was standing on second base, and it looks like a line drive in the box score. And when kids go 0 for 3, we have a 12-year-old on our team who hit 3 of the hardest balls we hit all day Saturday, and they were all outs. And he feels like, well, I went 0 for 3, and that's not what I'm supposed to do, when really he had much better at-bats than other people. These are the kind of results you want to look at when you can see progress from, my not that I'm a big exit velo guy for 12-year-olds, but I'm clearly getting stronger and more efficient in my swing, and we can measure that. I'm hitting more balls hard. We can measure that. Like, that's the kind of information I want to give kids, because this game is such a game of confidence. And when you feel like you're not doing well, man, is it easy as an 11 or 12-year-old to just lock up at the plate or lock up in the field because your feet weren't moving right, or, you're tripping over your own 2 feet because you're going through puberty and you look like a baby giraffe out there. I want everyone to feel some level of success at the end of the game or at the end of the practice. And this is something where you can show them, hey, maybe it's not translating into statistics, but those don't matter anyway. This is where you're improving. And if it's enough to get a 12-year-old to decide, I want to keep playing and I'm going to play, in the intermediate league next year, or I'm a 13-year-old now, I'm going to go play juniors on the big field next year, which is 60-90. If it's something that's giving you the confidence to continue in the game, I think that's totally worthwhile and has a ton of value.
Absolutely. That's what we feel. I tell everyone, I thought my baseball career was going to be a little bit different. Like, it ended with a lot of injuries and all that. But it took me a while during that process to find my purpose within the game. And it's very clear that my purpose is to help kids develop and help kids not go through what I went through. So that's where I find my happiness. So we're a big part of that. It was a very easy decision for me to transfer from my other job over to here. So it's good. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Do you guys have the app that's out right now? Is it, I assume that you just put your own, swing in there and then it sort of gives you a feedback, or does it try to, are you saying like, I want to swing like this and this is, and you're showing like, this is how you can get to it, or this is how I swing. Yep. Here's what you should do to kind of optimize what you're doing right now. Is that more of what it is?
Yeah, that's it. What we want to do is find a swing that they struggle with, right? If they're a lunge guy or they can't hit elevated fastballs, we want to get a video of them attacking that pitch. So how's their body moving during that sequence? And then once we gather that, then we can attach whatever else we have to that player's profile. And then it's creating structure on, okay, your swing plane is very steep down or steep up. And if I want my swing plane and swing direction to be the focal points at first, then bat speed, then we can go through a whole list. It sees that it's deficient there, and it's going to start building programs that are helping that first, and then move on to swing direction, then move on to bat speed and go down. But based on the actual swing.
And it's, I assume for different U's, like it goes down from like, if you put like a 9U child in versus a 13U, the different bat sizes, that it's all customizable.
Yes, awesome. Age is a big thing.
Yep. How long have you guys been doing it?
Well, they've been in the works on this for about 4 years. I joined probably about a year and a half ago. We launched our web browser app probably a year and a half ago, and then our app launched last month. So the app is basically the same thing as a web browser, but it's streamlining everything. There's there was a lot of tasks when it came to the web browser on, I got to trim a video, I got to save it to the computer, attach to a profile. There's just like 10 steps. Basically now with the app, I can do a full camp of 100 kids, film them. I can download them to the programs, and then click one button, all the programs are made. Which
awesome.
we've learned in the coaching, and we get it because we've all coached. After a long day, you know, either you're going back to kids, you're going back to your own kids, you got to take them to bedtime, you're exhausted. Any extra work, we're trying to eliminate. So we're just trying to streamline everything. Our big goal is streamline everything for the coaches to where coaches can free up their time to really get to know the kids. Like we're not trying to take anything away from coaches, and we're trying to give them things that they can use, but then also now build conversations. Instead of when you're in the cage and a drill is not working, constantly searching for the next drill, it's, I trust these drills. And then now let's have conversations of, can you feel your hip move a little bit better, whatever it's going to be, and have those conversations with kids. That's where we, as coaches, it's what we always want, and that's how we get them better.
Man, that's awesome. I really enjoyed the demo you gave me yesterday, and it's definitely something people should check out.
We're gonna put a link to in the episode. I'm sure we'll put a link in the bio.
Yeah, and we'll put your Instagram on there and the app's Insta on there so that people can find it.
Awesome.
But we really appreciate your time, man. This is so fun. I'm glad our paths crossed and you were able to come on and chat with us. It's You're the type of guest we're looking for. We're two dumb dads who love baseball and love our sons and want to get as much information as possible. So we really appreciate your time.
Well, thanks for
do you have any gripes that you would like? You have a message you want to say to parents? Hey, guys, listen. This is what you don't need to do. This is what you do need to do. Anything like that where you're like, this is the one thing that you should take away from something that I believe in.
I think what Rob and I talked about yesterday, I get a lot of questions on should my son go to this event, this camp, this showcase. Depending on where the son is in age, depending on where his strength set is, I say no a lot just because there's certain, especially when you're hitting puberty or you're in your sophomore, junior year, I think strength is a really big thing. And if we can do other things like instead of paying $3,000 for this showcase, it's maybe pay $1,000 for a strength coach that's going to help build your son or daughter. I'm big into the strength aspect of the youth development. So getting your kid to go to a showcase because everyone's doing it might not be always the answer. It's a bit, there is a time and a place for it when you're ready, but don't be afraid to just have him have some time off where he can just work out and get better.
Awesome.
Great advice.
Great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, man.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Check out the app for sure.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, Mike.
All right, you guys, Mike.
Yeah, man. I think that's the key. I really like his perspective. First of all, I like the fact that he's an East Coast guy that's successful.
That's right.
But I like the perspective of being like, here's a tool, and this is mostly, I mean, you could use this. I mean, if you have, it's obviously these are all resources that are extra money and stuff like that. But if you have the ability to, if you're a little league coach and you kind of have a team of like, yeah, I don't really know how to help out all these different swings that I have going on here. It's something that you could be like, all right, plug it in. Let me look at it one night. And then you could set a program, each one of them. Be like, hey, guys, this is what you should be working on. This is what your swing looks like. This is how you operate. This is what you should be trying to accomplish. And setting a specific, rather than be like, hey, guys, let's all try to get a level swing plane.
Right.
You know, that's in one ear and out the other.
I think that's the thing, too, is that we, especially if you're a coach of younger kids and maybe you didn't play at a high level like Mike did or some of these other coaches that are around, and that's great if you have that experience. But I think we've seen that, I mean, look at Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, both great shooters, but their jump shots are completely different. And there's not really one way to swing a bat. Like everybody's going to have certain fundamentals, but not everyone's going to look the same in the process. So if you can design something specific to a kid's strengths and their natural swing path and help them adjust here and there, man, I'm all for it. I mean, look at Jack and Jonah. We could put those two guys side by side. They're both right-handed hitters. They're about the same age, but their swings do not look exactly the same, but they're both successful. So why is that the case?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like what they're doing. Obviously smart guys, all with professional experience, and so, they know what they're talking about over there.
Yeah, that was good. I was interested in just, like, I'm glad I got to ask some spring training stuff there because,
Totally.
you want to know, like, what's the pecking order? I was very interested in that by watching, like, guys walking around talking, like, who's allowed to talk to who? How many years in can you talk to this guy? So that was great.
I thought your analogy of not wanting to talk to Dice was great, because I think I would be the same way.
Well, that's what it was. Who would it?
No, I would.
Yeah.
I'd be like, this guy's selling out arenas, and I'm stamping hands. I'm not. There's no way I'm asking him anything. Yeah.
Exactly. You said you guys are 5 games into Little League.
Yeah.
Our first practice on Thursday. I'm gonna have to miss it. I'm gonna be in Cleveland, but our first practice is Thursday outdoors, which we got spoiled last week because it was like 65, and I know what's coming down the pike this week.
Yeah.
I'm cold. I'm freezing. My hands hurt. The whole thing. So I'm like, we got fooled, and the kids got fooled, and now they think it's going to be just warm baseball weather, and we're gonna be cold. It's going to be cold for a while. So
this episode,
I'm like not looking forward to that.
This episode, I think, is going to drop Thursday or Friday. Do you want to plug your shows in Cleveland if people want to come out and see you?
Yeah, I'm in Cleveland at Hilarious this weekend. If anyone is around the beautiful Cleveland area, Thursday night, 1 show, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows on Saturday. So if you're around for that. Also, baseball sort of related, April 10th on Long Island, I'm doing a benefit for our Cooperstown team, a comedy show at Governor's Comedy Club. It's myself, Ari Shafir, Joe List, and Mark Norman. It's a great show. We sold out the first one. We just added a second show. So tickets are on sale at steveradisneezy.com.
Some would say that's a murderer's row of comedy.
It's a great show. It's going to be a real fun show. I think I told you, because they're doing it for free. Obviously, it's a benefit. But Ari told me that he thinks that the children should have to work for us for a week, work for the comedians. Like that's their paying back.
Yeah.
The apprentices and assistants, like go get them coffee.
Right.
Like they each get like 4 or 5 kids to run errands for them all day long.
Yeah.
For, a day or two to give back, for them doing the comedy show.
That's not, I mean.
We'll see what happens. I'll throw it out to the parents.
Yeah.
We'll
take it out of their Fortnite time.
Also, we have we have an email,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I want to make sure people that are listening that have either questions and or funny stories or topics that they want us to talk about.
Definitely.
Please email the, what is it? Is it take your cleats off?
Where are your cleats pod at gmail.com. Take your cleats. No, that's what we say when we get home.
Yeah.
Take your cleats off before you walk in the house.
Where are your cleats? Pod at gmail.com. Where are your cleats pod at gmail.com.
And where are your cleats pod on Instagram?
You could DM a thing there. So that is up and running now as well.
And by the way, I do want to say shout out to Jason Trapp, who designed our logo. Very cool logo.
Yes.
And so thank you to Jason for doing that. And thank you to Mark at Petty Cash Studios for having me.
Beautiful setup you got there. I was there a couple weeks ago. It's awesome. And great producer. Also, speaking of producing, this is on Spotify, correct?
On
Rob?
Spotify.
It will be on iTunes.
Yep.
As soon as our application, rigmarole. You got to go through the hoops. It's the hoops and the jumps and all that stuff.
I don't know if I should have sent in my social security number. They asked for it. I did it. So hopefully that gets us expedited.
Well, I sent in yours as well on my application. So
perfect.
And I think we'll be up on YouTube as well soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
YouTube channel coming. Yeah, clips coming.
Because Joan is like, it's not real unless it's on YouTube. So, they don't listen to podcasts.
Jonah's really
they only watch them.
Putting Coach Robb on blast here, Jonah. Thanks a lot.
I know. MLB The Show is up and running in my house. He comes down. He goes, Satchel Pages? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, I got him. And I was like, I wouldn't say it like that. Okay. Thank you. But I appreciate it. So shout out to MLB The Show.
Yeah.
They're doing a great job this year.
Oh, man.
So anything else? I think we got it, right?
No, I think we got it. I'm off Thursday night. We'll be taking off. We're heading to Arizona. We'll catch the Cubs and Giants on Friday, Mariners game on Saturday, back home Sunday night. So hopefully fun stuff to report from the end of the Cactus League as they get ready to break camp and head to their respective hometowns to start some regular season games.
I know. I can't wait. I really can't.
Me either.
Yeah. Again, if you're in the Cleveland area, I'll be in Cleveland this weekend, so come check me out at Hilarities. But if not, thank you very much. Please let us. We're brand new, guys. You know how this works. You got to let people know. Tell your other people that you're sitting with at the games that this is a good podcast. That we got to get some interesting guests on.
Yeah.
We have some people that we're talking about that we're going to get booked real soon. So like, subscribe, rate, and review. All those things help. And obviously the emails and the stories would be really awesome as well. We want to do a segment at the end of the episode where we go into the bag and get out some mail. So again, thank you very much for listening, watching, subscribing, rating, reviewing, and all the other things you do. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.